Howdy folks, today let's talk about the Singxer SA-1. Not sure how to say it. Singxer sounds a little funny. This is a $600 Class A fully amplifier and amplifier only. We can see, also by the way, I've got this in front of me, the thing is built like a tank. We can see that this thing has 126 dB of signal to noise ratio, so extremely good. Dynamic range 147, I suppose that's just sheer power levels. I don't know what that means. Let's see, extremely low total harmonic distortion, and we have about 6.5 watts at 32 ohms of power. So in theory, this thing is going to be a little less powerful than say like the topping A90 discrete, but very powerful. Obviously, I don't. Well, obviously, this is good for any kind of in-ear. I don't actually have planar headphones or anything bigger than that to test this with, but having said that, I did ask a buddy of mine, Nivo, that he's got a lot of headphones and he's tried this, and he said, it's all about synergy with this amp for sure in terms of planars and things like that. And just to say this, he prefers some other stuff, but he said this works really well with a certain headphone, so which I don't know anything about, and so I just thought I'd mention that. And that's probably the case with a lot of extremely powerful amplifiers versus planars that take a lot of power, or other drivers in that vein. What else? Let's see, 600 monies, built like an absolute tank, and thanks Apos Audio for sending me this guy. So let's check it out. So I've got this in front of us right here. I actually delidded it for a reason, but let's check out our stuff here. So we've got, you could set this as a preamp only, or headphone amp, or off. You can set the inputs to XLR or RCA. Also, these switches are like killer. I love these switches. They're very similar to like pilot switches in a cockpit, and they're freaking awesome. Love them. Flip these all day long if you actually wanted to. Probably not, but they're good. Good switches, love them. And when you're dealing with a device, that's built like a tank, then that feels good with that. That goes with that. High Z, low Z, so that's the output impedance for headphones. High Z would be for planars or other things. Low Z for in-ears or anything obviously low impedance. Also, if you look at the manual here, it tells us that low impedance output is 1.4 ohms right here, and that's balanced, and then single-ended is going to be 0.7. So for me, I've been using the single-ended output on this since it's 0.7 ohm output, and it says, let's see, high impedance output is 11.4 and 10.7, so that's balanced 10.4 and 10.7 single-ended. I'm really happy they put this in the manual. Also, it's in English. Also, the SA-1 does not support being a headphone out and also a preamp at the same time, just to make that point. But it is designed to be a preamp, meaning that your volume control will affect the back inputs and outputs on this. Also, of course, we got the XLR balance, 6.5 single-ended, 4.4 balance, and tons and tons of plugs. Balanced inputs, XLR left and right. We got the analogs, line-ins, RCAs, and out. It's just like it looks. Really cool. Very, very high-quality plugs. Everything is awesome. Physical switch. You can kind of think of it as a standby in turn. Well, that's the power switch, but you could think of the front one here, as like this one right here as being the standby switch. Sort of. It keeps power going to it when it's turned on the back, but then you got this thing. Hey, focus, you guy. And then you got this thing, right? To turn it on and off. All right, so, get that out of the way. Okay, now, I was allowed to open this thing, so I did, and let's check them out. We're gonna go in, zoom, zoom, zoom. Hold on, let me get this light over here, see if I can do this. Okay, check her out. Now, first thing we wanna notice is this thing is laid out awesomely. As a electronics person, this makes me very, very, very happy. I only know small things in terms of layouts, and certainly not when it gets very complicated like this, but to me, this looks super cool. So we got our power coming in. These are, I think, Meanwell, very high quality power, DC, AC to DC conversions. That's probably going to be the power stuff right in here. Then Class A stuff's going to be under this heatsink, and then One interesting thing, well, I'll just say this, that see, I don't know if we can see this, but the capacitors here are, here, let me just pull this out of view for a second. And just looking, I think those are for the power circuitry rather than the audio circuitry, sorry. But over here we have Nichicon, I forget the name of these, but they're like, sorry, audiophile capacitors, these guys, which volume control extremely high quality. And also, so this is something that a couple folks told me. And so that is that if you want the highest performance out of this amplifier, you need to do a DC mod on it. And so what that means is that you've got little jumpers here, 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 and here. And I put those on already, they're blue. These blue guys are not jumpers right here. Let's see if we look. So basically what I'm getting to with that is, if your DAC or device that's feeding this has a DC offset, meaning that, okay, DC offset should always be at 0, meaning that there is no bias towards plus or minus voltage on your output on this device. So without these jumpers, it controls that and fixes it. So if you do have one, then it fixes that. And I suppose the reason that they're putting jumpers here is so that gives you the ability to increase the audio performance and also possibly have a DC offset. So it's like, basically it's kind of like, you know, at your own peril type of thing, but not really. I don't think a DC offset could possibly be bad enough to hurt something. Probably not unless it's extreme, in which case, what would you be feeding with this? A potato? Probably not. Anyway, I put those on there because my stuff doesn't have a DC offset, and I measured it. You just stick a multimeter on your outputs, and hey man, plus or minus, do you have anything? No, 0, good. Because signals coming out of an amplifier are an AC current, you know, sine waves, plus and minus, but if you have a DC bias, that means it's going to be like pushed above, right? So like it's always at a plus level or always at a biased at a negative voltage, and that's really not that great for drivers, I think, just to mention that. So, you know, stuck this at the highest quality you could possibly have, took the cover off. Also, there are these interesting switches, and I'm not sure, it didn't, okay, so this is, come on, focus. Can you see that? Anyway, this says low and high gain and low and high gain, and there's 4 switches here, and they're all set to high gain. I don't know if that's like balanced left and right, I'm not sure, but they've just been at high gain. And I would say this, that I can use in-ears on this if I do HPA on, RCA's, low Z, and then I actually have a pretty good amount of volume sweep on this. Now I do feed this with my Geshelli DAC and has 3 gain levels and things like that, gain settings. So, you know, I could deal with that really well. But overall, this is a very nice smooth knob. There's no detents in it, and there's also no markings on it, so that I don't know if that matters to folks, but very high quality knob. Now, I've talked about the build quality and what this thing looks like and all that sort of stuff, and it's really very pretty inside and very awesome looking. So, you know, props to the Singxer engineers for creating it like this. Now, let's talk about the sound. And I don't have the topping A90 discrete in front of me, but I'm going to compare it to it because this is the same price retail, although the topping you can get sometimes on sale, blah, blah, blah. I'll just go through some stuff on here why I would pick, sorry to say, the topping over this guy. Some important things. Let's talk about it. A little sip of my beverage. All right. I guess, I don't know if I want to stare at this. Yeah, sure, why not, the whole time. All right, so let's look at this guy, right? We have a very high quality volume pot. Probably cost him, I don't know, a lot, right, this volume pot. But this is a level down from the R2R resistor array in the topping A90 discrete, for sure. That's, you know, on the topping, you change the volume level and it goes changing the resistors, extremely precise control over left to right volume. That is actually better. It's crazy. I mean, it's like at this point, I'm thinking maybe they could have done that without using pots. This is going to be probably 1, 2, 3, 4 volume pots stacked. And since this is a balanced amp and you have XLRs, you need a lot of those suckers in line. I'm also guessing that they had to, there's probably some pots that you have to adjust on these things to match that perfectly. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what that is. They spent the money on the pot, but it's like at that point I'm thinking, why don't you just do the R2R resistor array? for the top level of what you could ever possibly have. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on that. But of course, we have the Nichicon audio capacitors, like highest quality audio capacitors. They got golds and some other ones, but these are good stuff. Okay, so right away we're talking about the volume control on this, and the topping is going to beat it at that. Now, topping I believe has a little more power. It goes up to 10 amps, but I don't actually know 10 amps, Jesus, 10 watts, but I don't actually know what that is equating to in terms of output impedance. So, but you know, it is what it is, just to mention that. So the topping has a little more power. But besides that, the staging on the topping is a little bit better than this. This is a little flatter, a little less wide, whereas topping maybe would surround you a little bit, and extremely wide left to right. This guy's going to be a little more centered. I think it should be a little bit better staged for the price, to be honest with you. I think that if I can compare this to the Archel 2.5 XL, that's a $200 and some dollar, Geshelli amp. The Geshelli beats it, unless I'm sure you're talking about extremely massively power-hungry planners, in which case this is just going to do the trick because it's got more. But for my purposes, now it's not that I don't enjoy this, but I would say that the tonality of this is really quite round. It's got a nice bombastic feel to it. It's good, it's open, but it's like a tiny level down from the topping A90 discrete and some other really good stuff like the Geshelli. Yeah. So overall, I would say that this is probably going to be a Synergy amp, and it's not going to be on my recommended list because just a few months ago I was able to get a topping A90 discrete for $500, not $600. In my opinion, it sounds better. It's got more features. It's got the volume controls, remote control, volume curve settings on it, and it's just it's got superior control to it. And I also think it sounds probably a little bit better. And I think maybe it has a little bit better synergy with a larger variety of devices, headphones, versus this guy. Having said that, this thing is built like an absolute tank. I appreciate all of it. It's extremely, high quality stuff, very tough aluminum, thick, excellent build, all of that, pretty. So I can't talk badly about it, but I could say that I prefer some other devices more than it. However, plenty of folks that have gotten this absolutely adore it and say that it has really good synergy with their very power-hungry headphones. And so I think that overall, it's not so much that I won't recommend it, it's just that for me, this isn't the thing that I would buy. But I do think that it's an amazing quality device, and I think that it should work well for anybody that's in the mood for this type of thing. It's a little less featureful, but a little more manual in terms of these, awesome switches and things. And, that's probably up to preference more than anything. So, Singxer SA-1 Class A fully balanced headphone amplifier. Cool stuff, and I think possibly folks could do better for a little less price. Right on. Talk to you on the next one.